Call him Hawk. He's Mark Hochman, 560 QAM in Miami. You can follow him on Twitter at, appropriately enough, Mark Hochman. Well, Mark, since the Dolphins season ended, and once again, thank you so much for your time. Hope all is well with you and your family, and you're safe and well and all that. But in the 11 days since the Dolphins season has ended, Tua sucks, and he's got to go and give up whatever you got to give up to get Deshaun Watson. I mean, what the heck's going on here?
Yeah, a slight mischaracterization by you. I think you're heading to the extreme there. The question over the last 11 days on at least our radio show and down here in South Florida and social media amongst Dolphins fans. I mean, look, there are some people that are saying Tua sucks and he's not elite. He's not a guy that can lead you anywhere, which I think is patently absurd after the number of games that he's played and with the weapons that he was throwing to. I mean, you have to give that context. But and I say this with all due respect to Tua, who I'm very high on. I don't believe that I've ever considered buying a Dolphins jersey in the last 20 years. And I'm going to buy a Tua jersey if he's the Dolphins quarterback next season. But I think you'd be insane if you asked someone, would you rather have Tua Tagovailoa as your quarterback, or would you rather have Deshaun Watson as your quarterback? If anyone says Tua, I think that's insanity because Deshaun Watson's 25 years old. He's 1 year older than Joe Burrow. Deshaun Watson has a long, elite NFL career ahead of him. So I could love Tua from the moment that they drafted him. I could love Tua when I watched him in Alabama and still be realistic enough to say, yo, if you can get Deshaun Watson, whatever it takes, go get him.
And we are of the same ilk, Mark. And that's why David started out with saying Tua sucks, because we've just been, we're right with you. We are lockstep with you on Tua. We have been stunned. I mean, we think on this coast, it's no doubt. The Miami Dolphins are the number one team in our market. There's a lot of other teams because we got a lot of influence from the Midwest. But the Dolphin fan has been just crushing Tua for 2 weeks. And what's ironic, Mark, is we put a poll question up today saying, if, and we don't believe it's going to happen, you could get Watson for Tua and the first 4 picks in the 50, the 4 picks that Miami has in the 50, would you do it? And now 3/4 of our audience is saying no, where David and I are like, done right now. And for the record, we don't believe that's enough to get him. I mean, if the Dolphins actually could pull this off, it's a minimum of those picks, isn't it, Mark?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, you give me the precedent for a quarterback that's this elite that would become available via trade this early in his career. It doesn't happen. When you draft Tua, you're hoping that he reaches what Deshaun Watson can do. Like you already see it with Deshaun Watson, and he's not at the tail end. He's at the beginning. And so I would give Tua and the entire draft in April for Deshaun Watson, because I know there's a heavy Midwest influence. There's a lot of Bears fans on the West Coast of Florida. We did it with Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, you can blink your eyes and years later realize that the quarterback is not what you thought he might be. I think the Bears are going to experience this with Mitchell Trubisky. You blink your eyes and all of a sudden 5, 6, 7 years are gone, waiting for him to take that next step. Deshaun took that step. Like, he's not surrounded by a great organization right now, but there's no question that he's elite. So to me, if you had to give up an entire draft to get a quarterback like that, would do it in a heartbeat. I mean, Dolphins fans, we've been waiting for a guy like that since Dan Marino. That's a long wait. So if he's available, but I'm with you. This dude is not going to become available. I mean, if you're the Houston Texans and you've got a guy that's this good at a position that is so difficult to find a guy that's that good, and you've signed him to a long-term contract, why would you give him up unless he kind of goes the James Harden route of making it uncomfortable? But I don't think Deshaun's got that personality. So it's going to be interesting. But I'm telling you, I would give anything and everything to get Deshaun Watson on my team as a quarterback, because you got a guy like that playing that position. You are so far ahead of the game.
He's Mark Hochman, 560 QAM in Miami. Follow him on Twitter at Mark Hochman. Let's go back to week 17. You know, it's one thing to lose a big game, bigger for you than it was them, but they weren't competitive, really. I mean, a quarter or so, and then it just all went to you-know-what in a handbasket. Mark, this is the team they're going to have to deal with for the next 3 to 5 years. This is the quarterback. These are the receivers. I mean, in a way, was it eye-opening, or was it good that what happened so that the Dolphins could realize, yeah, we're not in their area code yet?
Yeah, I would say it was eye-opening. And I'll tell you, I had that same feeling. I'm like, oh, my goodness. Has Buffalo become the New England of the division that quickly? Because they did whatever they wanted. And I have been known to place a little money here and there on some sporting events. And I had money on the Dolphins for one sole reason in that week. I did not think a Brian Flores coach team would go out like that. Like we watched him his first season when he had personnel on the field that I don't even think he knew what their names were. And he was competitive, aside from the first couple of games at the beginning of the season. He was competitive for most of the season. And by the end of the season, he was winning. And then all of a sudden this season, they're on the cusp of the playoffs. Again, ahead of schedule, if you want to compare them to Buffalo, ahead of schedule. And you need to win a game. And I understand Buffalo is an excellent team. I actually think they can compete with Kansas City in the AFC to go to the Super Bowl. But you have one game to win and be in the playoffs in year 2 of your coaching tenure. And everything I've seen from Brian Flores, he does everything right. And I was certain. Now, I didn't think Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs were going to play as much as they did during that game. But regardless, I did not think a Dolphins team coached by Brian Flores would go out that way. So the game was more eye-opening to me than anything else, because I just didn't feel like – I thought Brian Flores would have had every gadget play ready to go, every eventuality thought of, because that one game could vault them into the playoffs. And like you said, I mean, they got ran off the field. They looked like they didn't belong. And it's not that often that you see that with that team.
All right. You know, Miami was in a spot, Mark, for a long time. And I mean, a generation now where they've damn near had to overpay to get anybody to come play for the Miami Dolphins. And that, for those of us that live around in this state, go, really? You don't want to play here? Well, they didn't. How much do you think this year changed that?
Oh, I think huge. I think they become a legit destination. And by the way, I think Tua also makes them a good destination. You know, if you're looking at guys like Allen Robinson, you know, you need receiver help, right? I mean, there's no that's the number one. You know, Devontae Smith, obviously, everybody wants to get. Hopefully, the Jets don't screw things up for Dolphins fans. But if we take Deshaun Watson out of the conversation, put Deshaun Watson into the conversation, and I mean, this is, I would say, one of the most attractive places in all of the NFL for a free agent player. But even take Deshaun Watson out of it. If you've got Tua Tagovailoa, you've got Brian Flores as your head coach, and you've got the ability now, because New England is not what they used to be, and as good as Buffalo is, I don't think they strike fear into. First of all, I don't think a lot of people want to go play in Buffalo anyway, but Mario Williams did years ago. But other than that, but I don't think there's a much better destination than the Miami Dolphins, and I do think you're going to see their fortunes change over the next few seasons. You really hasten that change with Deshaun Watson. That's why I'm so high on that. My you know, the realistic part of me says don't get too high on that, because there's no way. If you're the new general manager in Houston and your first move is I'm trading Deshaun Watson, not even because I want to, but because he's forcing my hand, like, what an awful way to start your tenure as a general manager. You're not going to be able to dig out of that hole.
And it really could be.
I'm kind of taking Deshaun Watson out of the equation. I think the Dolphins, with Tua as the quarterback, with Brian Flores as the head coach, with the defense led by Xavier Howard and Emmanuel Agba had a great season. I think they're a great destination. Like I said, I think they're ahead of schedule.
And the other thing to consider for Nick Cesario, the new GM of Houston, his first big move's probably going to be getting rid of J.J. Watt. Imagine that being in your first 100 days. You get rid of J.J. and Deshaun. Whoo-wee. All right, let's
you're
get to
signing your own death certificate.
Right.
Really. I mean, how do you overcome? I mean, they're fan favorites. They're great at what they do, and they're the reason that they don't even want. You're the reason that they don't even want to be there.
Let's get to the story that made the rounds yesterday. 3 unnamed players basically saying, I don't know how good this Tua guy is, and I can't believe that they benched him for Fitz. What were they thinking? 1, do you think there is some of that in the organization? And 2, do you think there are doubts within the organization about Tua?
Yeah, we talked about the Miami Herald column yesterday, and my take on it was kind of much ado about nothing, because you've got roster 53 people. By the time you're changing people in and out on the roster and practice squad, you're up to 60 or 70 different players that have played during a season. I would submit to you that you could put 70 or 60 people in a room, talk about anything, and you're going to find at least 3 people that disagree with what everyone else agrees with. I mean, you just had to watch the impeachment hearings yesterday, right? If you get enough people in a room, I don't think the movie Guardians of the Galaxy was very good. I know I'm in the minority on that. People like that. There's always going to be some people that see things a completely different way than other people see it. So you're talking about professional athletes. Would it really surprise you if off the record or anonymously Devontae Parker said to Armando Salguero, who was the writer of the story, would it really surprise you if Devontae Parker said, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is a better quarterback than Tua Tagovailoa right now? Like, that wouldn't surprise me. Like, Devontae puts up much better numbers with Ryan Fitzpatrick. It wouldn't surprise me. Would it surprise me if there was a defensive player who plays against Tua during practice and said, yeah, that guy doesn't have a lot of velocity on the ball? Like, no, it doesn't surprise me. The story that was written was not the majority of the Dolphins feel like they're going down the wrong road. It wasn't, we talked to 16 guys and to a man, each one of them said, Ryan Fitzpatrick is a much better fit for this team than Tua Tagovailoa, that Tua is only going to be an average quarterback in the NFL. It was 3 guys. You don't know how much they played during the season, how little they played, how important they were. You don't know if they have an axe to grind. It's 3 guys. So again, I would submit to you, I could find in a group of 70, 3 guys that would be against the grain of what the rest of the team is saying. And by the way, not even saying that they're giving a faulty opinion. Like, that's their legit opinion. It's fine. But it didn't scare me that 3 guys on the roster would say stuff like that.
So would you then agree, early this morning, my expert analysis of this story, and I quote myself, I called it a crock of crap. Is that an accurate description of the story?
I think because the story itself is right. I mean, Armando, I don't believe that he made up quotes. So the story itself, I wouldn't call a crock of crap. The reaction to the story has been a crock of crap, in my opinion, because it was yesterday morning. I woke up, I'm sure you were on the air, and I see, this story is trending and people are commenting like crazy, and it's all of a sudden becoming a push notification from CBS Sports, and then it's a push notification from Yahoo Sports, and now it's on the ESPN site, and it picks up traction because all of a sudden you've got unnamed players and they don't like Tua Tagovailoa. And Tua, that name in the story gets you clicks. Like, I just thought the reaction to it was a crock of crap, because the story really is a nothing story to me. It just, I looked at the story, if the headline was 3 out of 70 Dolphins players don't think Tua is the better quarterback on the roster right now, it's not that much of a story. But if you couch it as unnamed Dolphins players speak out against Tua, yeah, then it becomes, whoa, what's going on there? And so I just when you actually read it, it was like, all right, well, there's nothing to see here. That's kind of how I felt. I was like, all right, nothing to see here.
You can listen to Hawk along with Channing Crowder on 560 QAM, along with their sister station 790 The Ticket. You can follow Mark on Twitter at Mark Hochman. Mark, we appreciate your time. We hope 2021 is off to a good, safe start for you and yours, and hopefully we can talk again.
Same to you. And anytime you want to talk Dolphins, I'm ready to roll. I'm excited. I'm excited about this team.
Mark Hochman, 560 QAM, 790 The Ticket in Miami. Mark Hochman, Mark with a C, and Hawk, Hochman. Mark Hochman joining us here on Miller and Moulton.